Okay, if I could have your attention, please. We don't have any mics, so I'm going to do my best in my meek voice to speak loud. So if someone cannot hear me, please let me know. We're working through the audio tonight. The first thing I'd like to do is have Evan call the roll, please.
Mr. Ferguson. Mr. Taylor. Mr. Baker. Mr. Morris. Mr. Stevens.
I'm here. I appreciate Vice President or Vice Chair Senator Morris for presiding physically while I'm away on personal business. I'm glad I could see everyone else say that y'all. Your opinion.
Thank you. Mr. Ralston.
Yes, I'm here with participating remotely because I am traveling and out of town. And I'm not offended at all, Josh, because I'm not up there, so you're not talking about my face.
Thank you for joining us.
Sorry, technical difficulties.
We're trying to work over it. While we're working this down, if y'all would join me if you're able, please stand and we'll give the pledge of allegiance and invocation. Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for the opportunity, Lord, to bring democracy to the Lord, to the people of Shenandoah County. We appreciate each and every one that's come out to voice their concerns and opinions to the Lord. I want to thank this board and the staff for the hard work they've contributed to the past several months toward the budget. God in fact, bless this board, be with each one that's here, be with our families. Give us a good evening. Thank you for salvation. As we move into the Easter season, let's not forget the real reason for the season of Easter. In that name we ask, amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nobody had it better than we had the beach. So, some got it, some ain't. Anyway, again, on behalf of the board, thank you all for coming this evening. Let me go through a few announcements. If anyone has come in, sat down, and has decided, hey, I want to say something, it's not too late. Please sign up, okay? Okay, pursuant to Title 15-2, Chapter 25, and Title 22-1, Chapter 8 of the Code of Virginia of 1950 as amended, the Board of Supervisors of Shenandoah County will receive comments regarding the 2025 tax rates and the proposed budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026. The proposed budget includes the general fund, Shenandoah County Public Schools Operating and Cafeteria Funds, Social Services Operating Fund, Children's Services Act Operating Fund, Parks and Recreation Special Revenue Fund, Shenandoah County Landfill Fund, North Fork Wastewater Treatment Plant Fund, Stony Creek Sanitary District, and Thomas Brook Morristown Sanitary District. The proposed budget is for information and fiscal planning purposes only. The proposed budget also includes, and the board will consider the following tax rate increases for 2025. For real property, including manufactured homes, a tax increase of 3 cents per $100 of assessed value, from 64 cents to 67 cents per $100 of assessed value. For personal property, non-farm, a level tax rate of $4.11 per $100 of assessed value. The establishment of a meals tax of 4% for qualified purchases in the unincorporated areas of the county. Following tonight's hearing, the budget is expected to be considered for adoption at a special meeting held on Tuesday, April 15th, 2025 at 4 p.m. An additional budget work session may be scheduled before the adoption. The date and location will be announced. I've got a list of speakers at this time. I will read the name of the speaker, and then I'm going to read the next one in the line, and if they can get in the back cage over here, that chair sitting there, to save some time. So when the speaker leaves the podium, if they go to their right, go back, or go through the center, and that way we won't get in line with the people coming second. I'm trying to move things along as quick as we can this evening and try to stay organized. So again, if you sort of meeting, something comes up, Alex will be there. You can certainly sign up to speak anytime during the course of the evening. Fellow board members, any comments?
I'm an employee of the Shenandoah County Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Keller. Okay. All right. The first speaker tonight is Chris Pangle, Latondra Volunteer Fire Department. The speaker on deck of the High Towers from Broadway, Virginia. So the High Towers will pull the chair up and get in line. Chris, good to have you.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank each and every one of you all. We spent a lot of time together the last 60 days. Greatly appreciate that, especially you, Evan. Y'all got a tough job, probably underpaid. First thing I want to talk about is the volunteer investment from the county. Greatly appreciate the consideration.
We can't hear.
Hold on a minute.
Get it there, Chris.
How about now?
Better, but you gotta get close.
Yeah, pull it toward you. Or hold it.
How about that?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
All right. First thing I want to talk to you about is the volunteer investment from the county to the volunteer departments.
I think y'all told me what you said before, they didn't hear it. I'm only kidding. Go ahead.
Before this mic got cut off, I thanked all of them up there for their time over the last 90 days, 60 days. I wore their ear out. Probably didn't make near enough money. So, your volunteer investment. A lot of people don't realize, but the volunteers has not had an increase more than $8,000 in the last 10 years. I believe I'm saying that right. The offer that we may be getting is very generous. I'm not going to sit here and wear it out, but the price of apparatus, tools, maintenance, supplies at the station, it has gone up tremendously. So we greatly appreciate that. The second thing I want to talk to you about, most importantly, SCFR, they need firefighter EMTs. We've got to get staffing in Fort Valley. I've heard it 100 times over the years. When people move out there, they know where they're moving. They know they don't have staffing, and that is true to a degree. I talked to a gentleman when I come in the door, and I forget what his name was, but he moved there 40 years ago. Housing has probably doubled since he moved in there. He said volunteers will probably double what they are today. They have half the volunteers. We've got to find a way to get them 24-hour staffing. We can't kick that can down the road any further. So, once again, thank you all for everything.
The High Towers report and Jeff Mongold in the batting cage. How are you folks this evening?
Good.
Not too bad, I suppose. Hi, my name is Paul Hightower. The story's a little bit of a sad one, so please bear with me. Back in September of 2020, I had a 2-year-old son pass. We actually lived right near the Connexville Fire Department. He passed due to a choking accident. And I had to call 911. And it took longer than 10 minutes for them to show up. And of course, back at that time, Connexville was all volunteer. And as it was an unfortunate incident, that incident led to Connexville being able to get fully staffed. They now have 24/7 staff, and I'm here tonight to advocate for having fully staffed anywhere that's necessary, including Fort Valley. Where we live, it's so hard to get to some places in time as necessary, especially Fort Valley, and even where I lived. Having the full staff would mean a lot to a lot of families, because I know I'm not the only one that's had family members pass in due time that wasn't necessary. Thank you for your time.
On behalf Thank you for stepping up. Took some courage. Appreciate it. Okay, Kelly, May, will be on deck. Okay, yep.
Good evening. Thank you for taking the time to hear us out here this evening. I have three things that I'm going to try and get through. Currently in Newmarket, we have the least amount of portable radios that are available to firemen. We have 8. The rest of the county has an average of between 18 to 26. We have 6 what we call mutual aid radios, which those are dual band. The Shenandoah County radios are single band. At this time, what we're doing is requesting that the Emergency Communications, who have been working with Ms. Weaver, to fully fund the radios so that we have a full complement of radios, as many as what the other volunteer companies in the county have. Main reason for this is mainly because during a Mayday situation, right now a pair of 2 people could go into a burning building or be outside. One gets separated. Neither one. The one that gets separated without the radio is unable to call Mayday. The one that may have the radio could get lost, disoriented, become incapacitated. Now you have 2 people inside that no longer have an avenue of calling a Mayday. We've asked her to do the dual band radios because of our mutual aid interests that we have around us. Again, you get into expense. At this time, we'll take what we can get. But what we're asking for in Newmarket is to get the minimum of what everybody else has in the county, between 18 to 26, and that varies on the amount of apparatus you have. We've currently been working on this for the last 3 years to try and get it, and Ms. Weaver has been the one so far has stepped up to work with us. Secondly, and I do apologize, this is a lack of oversight on my part, so I apologize. It's been made aware to me that over the past few years, we have not been funded for the ambulances that we are providing the county. Currently, we are providing 3 ambulances to the county. We are not considered a combination system, which we are. Our EMS license is through Shenandoah County Fire and Rescue, but we still provide personnel to help staff, to help get the units out when needed. We also provide a chase vehicle. Currently, if you add that up and take the 3 ambulances into account, that's $1.2 million plus $60,000 for a chase vehicle that we provide. We currently this year are evaluating what we're going to do with our EMS equipment and our EMS units and how many transport units we're going to keep. If we would choose to not do this, you all would be burdened with that debt of $1.2 million. So what we're asking for at this time is to be moved up into that combination system and be awarded the full $138,000. And last, in the short 10 seconds I have, the number one thing Chief Pozo said that we needed, and this was before the Fort Valley stepped forward and other things, are air packs. That was the number one priority, and I don't see that anywhere in the budget. Thank you.
Thanks. Aaron Kowalski, follow up. Okay, Kelly, thanks. How are you?
Good evening. My name is Kelly Mays. I'm a resident of District 3, and I'm here this evening to voice my support for Fire and Rescue's budget, specifically the ALS captains, the training lieutenant, the 6 relief providers, and the 24-hour staffing in Edinburgh, and additional funds for the volunteer organizations. I understand that this is a business and you wanted to decrease the tax rates for your voters, but cutting urgent needs from fire and rescue isn't our solution. In the past few months, I've watched your meetings and your budget work sessions, and it seems to me that some of you have forgotten that you're here to represent the people and their best interests. And still yet, you hold grudges against a department that is there to save you and your family's life when you need it. Having advanced life support available 24 hours a day to provide a level of care higher than the basics is crucial for those calls that require immediate life-saving action. I'm also not sure how many of you can sit there and bash that there are employees of the county who can't pass a certification, but fail to realize that the hundreds of people, career and volunteer, who have gained certifications by the same training staff. I think having an additional full-time training position will give those individuals the one-on-one time that they need to benefit them. Based on the chief's presentation the other week, it sounds like having another full-time position would help alleviate the overtime expenditure you want him to fix. There's no denying that the Fort Valley area desperately needs 24-hour staffing, but if you're not willing to pay for people that they're in, the next best option would be to put people into Edinburgh's area. Having an available ambulance less than 2 minutes away from my home versus waiting 10 minutes for Woodstock or 13 or even Mount Jackson would be a huge relief, not only to me, but to my clearly very growing family, but to any citizen who lives in the vicinity of the town of Edinburgh and beyond. It took 6 years for Connickville Fire Department asking for help to finally receive county-funded staffing after Colton Hightower passed away after a tragic accident and had to wait over 15 minutes for Mount Jackson's ambulance to arrive. How many more times does a Colton Hightower incident have to happen for you all to realize that this county desperately needs help? In my opinion, you're prolonging the inevitable, and you need to start thinking about putting 24-hour fire rescue staffing in every station to provide at least a minimum service for this community. Lastly, the volunteers can only do so many fundraisers to raise money for life-saving equipment each year. It would be irresponsible on your part not to help these organizations more than what you're doing now. What's going to happen when a department can't afford apparatus, the water bill, the electric bill, the mortgage, EMS supplies, or even PPE for their members? You're going to be scrambling to fully fund a department to run independently by the county. Why don't we help the men and women who provide a service to these members of this community every day now to provide the best service? If you're so worried about increasing taxes this year, maybe you should consider allowing industry to come into this county to provide much needed tax revenue. There are counties in the area of the Commonwealth that are decreasing taxes, like Loudoun just decreased 6 cents to the dollar, to the citizens due to the high revenue that they're receiving from industry. Thank you for your time and consideration in supporting the fiscal year 2026 fire rescue budget.
Thank you.
What she said.
Hang on. Lee, I think is it wine? Okay, Karen.
Yeah, so I sent you guys a letter earlier in the month.
Can't
last
hear
March.
again.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to hold it because I'm so short. Okay, is this better?
Yes.
Urging you to seriously consider the growing tax and fee burden on the taxpayers and the past decade of historic rises in county government spending. Proposed spending exceeds the rate of inflation and the rate of county population and income growth, in some cases far beyond. Our school costs are rising as the number of enrolled students continues to decline. The nonviolent and generally upstanding county of 44,000 men, women, and children is increasingly paying for a sheriff's department outfitted for an inner-city crime wave. Vehicle and trailer personal property tax has soared, hitting working people in the county terribly hard, and shifting county spending away from small businesses and local investment to the insatiable maw of 600 North Main Street, Woodstock. This is unsustainable. We who consider ourselves part of the informal Shenandoah Doge have repeatedly warned against local government bloat. In addition to unwarranted spending and sheer waste, we face poor leadership that begins and ends with the lack of fiscal discipline among the elected supervisors. We have seen public questioning of the sheriff's budget as well as other areas of the county budget. As a result, Shenandoahans were made to witness lawfare conducted by Sheriff Carter against key supervisor who asked about our small and peaceful county's need for such a large security equipment, vehicle, and manpower budget. That same sheriff is now being sued for his punitive actions against an employee and has been exposed in an embarrassing role relating to a local murder case. We, the taxpayer, pay for it coming and going. Public safety consumes 28% of the county-funded tax budget, and public education, which arguably impacts even more people and improves lives, gets 40%. It is tempting to focus on the biggest public consumers of tax revenue, but that would be a mistake. because the overall tax and spend system we have in Shenandoah County is not transparent and it is not accountable. The 6 of you have facilitated a 40% average increase in county employee salaries since 2022. The continual and unwarranted increases in real estate and even more egregiously personal property taxes speak to this travesty. To get better, to do better, and to be better in Shenandoah County, I request 3 things tonight, because this is where we're going to ask for what we want. This is what I want. First, as I asked in my previous letter, we need a fraud, waste, and abuse reporting portal on the county website. I noted that the county just changed the GIS database service. The GIS contract shifted. It costs twice as much for you to get more stuff. A fraud, waste, and abuse hotline in this county and a portal would pay far more dividends for our children's future than the new GIS software. We need this. And Allegheny County, there's other counties that have it. I put that in my letter to you earlier. Second, shift from lazy, traditional budgeting and adopt a zero-based budgeting for the annual county budget process. Traditional budgeting calls for incremental increases over previous budgets, which is how we got here. Zero-based budgeting simply justifies both old and new expenses. Third, I ask that the Board of Supervisors immediately direct the county administrator to name an existing office to serve as the county Department of Government Efficiency, chartered to ferret out waste, abuse, and duplication of effort. Thank you.
Is this Lee?
Yes. Kira's right here.
Okay.
But she's my daughter, so
That's fine. There were 2 different lines up. That's
I'm
fine.
gonna give my time to my mom.
Go ahead.
Okay.
By the way, let me go and get Susie. Susie, come on, Susie, line up, please. Y'all go right here.
You ready?
Yes, ma'am, we're ready.
Hello, my name is Lee Wan. On February 21st, 2024.
Just take your time, okay? All right.
Hello. My grandmother, Carrie Ponder, passed away. She was found unresponsive at 6:13 in the morning. My sister and my 6-year-old nephew found her. They called 911 immediately to their address, which is located at 6318 Woodstock Tower Road in Fort Valley. That call was answered by dispatcher Kay Dellinger. She told Fort Valley and Shenandoah County Fire and Rescue by 6:15 a.m. It takes approximately 26 minutes to get to my grandparents' house from Woodstock and approximately 2 minutes to get to their house from the station in Fort Valley. On this day, Shenandoah County Fire and Rescue responded when dispatched at 6:15 and dispatch continued to dispatch Fort Valley until 6:32 in the morning. As Shenandoah County Fire Rescue informed them to stop Tony Company 14. It took almost 24 minutes for EMS to arrive and render aid to my mother, who at this time had been down for 25 minutes. There was a total of 49 minutes of her being unresponsive, and the odds of her surviving that were minimal to none. Her time of death was called at 7:04 a.m. after medics from SCFR worked tirelessly for 25 minutes to try to save her. After a few days to process this, I reached out to those on the call and thanked them for their service. I expressed my frustration about Fort Valley, and I was informed that they do not have the membership needed to run EMS calls, and those that are able are burnt out or cannot do it anymore due to age and health reasons. They are now asking for help. If it had been paid personnel stationed that day, maybe my mother would still be here. Now is the time that Fort Valley needs help, and not in Edinburgh, where there is discussion to place 7 paid providers, as it would take 22 minutes to render aid at the center of Fort Valley, because you do not believe there is staffing to justify enough call volume to justify 24-hour staffing. For example, that month my mother passed. There were a total of 10 EMS calls in Fort Valley. Out of those calls, 10 were medical related, 2 being a cardiac arrest, one being a cardiac emergency, and out of those 9 calls, they were not answered by Fort Valley. Now, Connicksville, which is a small department, is equal to Fort Valley, had 35 calls that month, with 21 being EMS. In comparison to population, Fort Valley has 1,229 residents, and Connicksville has 374. That is a difference of 30%. So I want you to let that sink in. 374 residents to 1,229 in Fort Valley. And Connicksville, it was allotted 24-hour paid staff. And I'm asking, why is that? Is it because there was a death of someone under the age of 2, which we know was Colton Hightower? Or are you waiting for that to happen in Fort Valley before you act? My family and I think that my mother's life mattered for someone to be there to answer the call and not waiting to what seemed like an eternity for help to arrive. But most importantly, doesn't every life in this county matter? My question to the 6 of you is, are you basing this budget on call volume or response time? Because do you know that the state of Virginia, the primary focus of emergency response agency, is receiving 90% time compliance in their first due area? That's 90% response time in their first due area. The surrounding counties base personnel staffing on this and not call volume. Why are we not doing this? There is a discussion on the table for more funding needed to the fire EMS departments, but what is not known, which Chris Pengel mentioned, is that they do get annual funding, and I understand that they're asking for more. But instead of giving more funding, we need to allocate what's in the proposed budget for more personnel with FCFR, but more specifically, allocate personnel paid to Fort Valley. There needs to be effective and appropriate response time to render aid to the citizens of Fort Valley, so they are not unlike the citizens across the mountain who have aid within the first 5 minutes. I'm asking you to really think about what I said, but most importantly, the residents of Fort Valley and place paid personnel at the station, as they pay their taxes, and should have the comfort of knowing that if they need EMS service, they are covered and not having to wonder and wait when help will arrive like we did. Thank you.
Jeff Holst. Jeff. Okay. Susie, come right up.
I'm Susie Blissert, and I'm here to speak about. I'll use my teacher voice if I need to. Can you hear me now?
Stand closer. Hang on.
Oh, I hate these things. Okay. I am here because I want to support the engineering and architectural services for Triplet Tech. I'm a big fan of education. And Triplet Tech I've heard wonderful things about. I would also like to support additional funding for fire and services. I have done search and rescue for 12 years. I worked with many fire departments throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia, and they were very supportive of us. I spent 12 years looking for lost people, both living and deceased. So I appreciate everything fire and services do, but I also want to speak about Triplet Tech, and thank you so much for all your time. And thank you guys for so much you do. I know budget season is not an easy season for you, but thank you.
Thank you, Susie. Coming up, Jeff, and Concord is next. Thank you, Jeff.
Good, sir. You able to hear me?
Pull the mic up a little bit. The closer the better.
All right, there we go. My name is Jeff Holzberg. I live at 1263 Lakeridge Grove Road, Muhlenberg, Virginia. I have spent 22 years of my life in public service and law enforcement. So for me to come and say that I'm against fire and rescue, or any means of that. I want to tell you something. Every time I listened to a call and I knew I was going somewhere, I put in the back of my mind how far is fire and rescue behind me, or where are they setting that. So we need them, we love them, they've got to be there. On the other side of that, I'm a business owner, I'm a landowner. I've been here my entire life, and every time that I come in here, it's about taxes being raised. And at some point, we've got to find a good way to get the things that the county needs, but it cannot be at your landowner's expense. It cannot all be there. You've got to stop those taxes. We're asking for this money to come out of people that are, the majority of them are past the age of 60 years old. There's a God level. They can't do it. Every person that's at a retirement age or past that are all struggling, every one of them. And here we are having conversations about making it worse and digging it in deeper. I know there's better ways. The unfortunate part is that, yes, you're going to listen to every downside, to every situation. I will never come in here and condemn any of the 6 of you for making the decisions you've had to make. You've had to do it under stress. You've had to do it with people screaming both directions at you, and you had to take it in at a good time and a bad time. Thank you for all that you do. Please be mindful when you make those decisions. Please, please don't put it all on the taxpayers, of the landowners and the business owners. Let's find a way to scatter it out. If it's all on meals tax, if it's another way to go about it, just take your time and do the best you can. That's all I have.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Gerald Bowers is on deck.
Hello.
Good evening, how are you?
Okay, thank you.
Good.
Since our Fort Valley community meeting in January regarding our concerns and fears about not having enough volunteers or paid EMT staff in Fort Valley, you have listened to us. You have read our emails. You have met with us. Now we are asking you to take action for us, to do your job and serve the people. I watched an online meeting where every one of you said at one point or another, we want to help Fort Valley. We've got to help Fort Valley. And to quote Mr. Stevens, who said, I want to see better response time in Fort Valley. You've heard or read countless heartbreaking stories of not just late response times, but also of lives lost. People dying in Fort Valley because they didn't reach them in time. 40 minutes is not even fathomable as a response time. 26 minutes is also unfathomable as a response time, as I drove from my house in Fort Valley to the fire department in Edinburgh. Putting staff in Edinburgh to help Fort Valley is not the answer. It's not even an answer. You've driven over the mountain, you know how long it takes. We need someone in Fort Valley, in that building that was built in 1964 for this exact reason. You've spent hours and hours talking about this. You've spent money, and I'm sure more money, to hire a consultant to assess the situation, and he told you over and over, because I was in the meeting, you need coverage in Fort Valley. You need coverage in Fort Valley. Not 30 minutes away, in Fort Valley. Why spend taxpayers' money to get the answers and then not heed the answers that you're given? Something was said about Fort Valley not having enough calls to warrant full-time staffing. I would argue that just one life saved would warrant full-time staffing. I now know of at least 2 deaths in Fort Valley due to lack of response time. How can you hear that and have the power to change that and not do something? People are dying and suffering unnecessarily. I wouldn't want that on my conscience and know that I'm partially responsible for that.
Thank you, Ms. Burke. Next on deck next would be Regina Coleman.
All right, how you guys sitting? I want to thank you for everything that you've done on this budget process, and I know we have bent your ears a lot. I'm not going to sit here and repeat everything Chris Pangle said. We want to thank you for that funding coming to these volunteers, because it is going to help with that investment, because your stations are going to be good and everything when we do come to this point that you're going to need the career staff in there. With that being said, I've heard a lot of things about we don't want to raise taxes, we don't want to do this. Well, let's face the inevitable. This school has a sinking problem. Sandy Hook has a mold problem. The pie is only so big. So if you don't raise taxes, where is the money coming from? So everybody here tonight, when they get to preaching about this meals tax, I was the biggest advocate to get this meals tax when we lost it almost 5 years ago. This is the only tax in Shenandoah County that you can get that if you don't eat somewhere like Bryce Mountain, the truck stops, the wineries, you will not pay a dime to that tax. And you're already paying it in every town in Shenandoah County, okay? Pass that meals tax, don't gripe about it. We don't have to take it to a referendum. It's going to go, these people traveling through here is going to pay that, okay? With that being said, the other issue we have, we need these boots on the ground. We've heard everybody talking about Fort Valley. We back that, but we need more boots. The lady said we need more training. No, let's get the boots on the ground. Let's fix the $2 million overtime problem. Let's try to get these people in the ambulances. Let's put the paramedics in the ambulances. And yes, is it going to take money? Yes. And keep in mind, people, when they're talking about this money and your tax rates, it takes $400,000 to put those 7 people on a shift per year. So, you know, the meetings are open. Come and let them hear. They've got a tough road to hoe, and there's only so much money to give. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerald. Next in the bullpen, Sheriff, I can't read the last name. Yep. Whatever your last name is, come on up. Yes, ma'am, you go right ahead. This is Regina?
Yes, good evening, Supervisors.
Good evening.
Good evening, my fellow citizens.
You gotta hold the mic.
Get your mic.
Oh, I'm terrible with words. Nerves get in the way. I'd like to thank our district supervisor for attending the meetings and discussing with us the needs of Fort Valley. My husband and I have been property owners there for 30 years. We've recently built our retirement home in Fort Valley. When I learned about the situation with the firehouse, I found it completely unacceptable. And I cannot sit by. I appreciate all the people here who stood up and said, we have a need. But from what I've heard, the current plan is hopefully get a grant from FEMA to fund staffing for 3 years. But at the moment, there's no place to put that staffing. And we do need to address the issue. So, looking at this proposal, you're showing a huge chunk of this budget for public safety. But it's not currently covering our needs. And just a few days ago, Secretary Rollins, Department of Agriculture, made a comment about the Forest Service. And since we are in quick distance to one of our national forests, which is where she is posted in the news is a fire risk, I think we really should focus on where we need to be focusing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Coleman. On deck will be Shane. Okay, Kara?
Yes, good evening. My name is Kara Morozic, and I'm coming to speak to you all as a concerned parent. I live in Strasburg with my husband, who will be speaking to you tonight as well. I'm a mother to a kindergartner there and a second grader. My daughter's 3, she'll also be going to Sandy Hook in a couple of years from now. I have volunteered in the school. I have seen the commitment of the teachers there. They're wonderful, they're great, they treat our children so great, and they're so committed. But I've also seen the impacts that these lagging facilities have had, that's much better, on their abilities to effectively teach. And we can do better for our students and our teachers. And I'll give you some facts. My kids have class and testing in the hallways because the school's overcrowded. We know that the school at Sandy Hook is exceeding capacity and is expected to continue exceeding capacity. We can't waitlist kindergartners. This county continues to grow, and especially in our area in the northern part of the county. My kindergartner eats lunch every day at 10:40. My other son eats lunch at like 1:30 in the afternoon. He's hungry. By the time he gets home, they both are. There's no teacher's lounge. The teachers are eating in the hallways. The special ed teachers share a classroom. There's 4 special ed teachers. They share a classroom, and when they need to do instruction for those students, they're out in the hallways doing that. Common sense tells us that improving the school, and I know we can't pay maybe the same competitively as other counties do, but improving the school and improving the facilities will have an enhancement on the success of the teachers and our students there. It will lead to increased attendance. It'll help maximize teacher effectiveness, and it'll encourage teacher retention. It'll increase student engagement and more opportunities for students for enrichment. And most importantly, it will help with the health and safety issues that are being caused by the overcrowding. The pickup and drop-off situation at Sandy Hook is just scary. Every day I cringe when I'm there, seeing the kids running out in front of the other students, getting into their vehicles with their parents and into the buses. So I encourage this board to address this now, not push it down the road, and vote in favor of prioritizing our elementary school students and budget for that long overdue capital improvements needed at Sandy Hook Elementary. Thank you.
Thank you, Kara. Are you Shane?
Yep, I'm Shane. Good evening, I'm Shane Waller.
I was going to ask you whether y'all got along.
Yes, so that's my wife.
You were sitting together.
We were, yes, sometimes we're together. My name is Shane Waller. My wife and I own a small business outside of Strasburg. We've invested a lot in our farm and our small business. And we've just really come to love the county. We weren't born here, but we got here as quick as we could, right? One of the things that we really love about the county is just this sense of community, right? But one of the challenges facing our community is, frankly, is the aging facilities of our schools, as my wife talked about. I would urge us to fund the architectural study, the engineering study for the schools, so we can move forward in addressing the overcrowded and the maintenance issues that are long overdue for the schools. I would note, I know these are significant costs, and I'm respectful of that, but I would ask, how much more is it costing us by delaying? Every year that goes by, things don't get cheaper, they get more expensive. Labor gets more expensive, materials get more expensive. If this school was built 5 years ago, would it be cheaper then or more expensive back then, right? So every year we wait, it's just costing us more and more money. Now, the other part of it is the maintenance on these facilities, on the HVAC systems. Some of these things are out of date, they're antiquated. How much are we paying in labor to maintain these and parts to maintain this? So I understand that it's a significant investment, but I wonder how much we are costing ourselves by not just doing what needs to be done and beginning this process. It's a long process. My kids will probably never see the benefit of it because it takes so long, but it needs to be done. I understand that we're a modest county, we have a modest income, we grow fruit, right? We raise cattle, we swing hammers, we work trades. And I would suggest, I'm respectful that we don't want to raise taxes on folks any more than we have to. What I would suggest is we need to start advocating outside of the county. We need to start asking the state for more help. There needs to be funds that need to be brought here to help us. Don't we deserve to have good schools for our kids? Don't we deserve to have the services that our county needs? And we can't expect to balance it all on our backs. And I would ask you as a board to start pushing up. Ask our representatives, ask our state senators to bring more funds back here to the county to address these needs. Thank you.
Thank you. I've got all that signed up to speak. Night's still young yet. If anybody want to speak, you're more than welcome. Yes, sir. Mr. Mongo, how do you see?
Yeah.
Hey, give us your name and address.
Sonny Mongo, New Market.
Thank you.
And, you know, I'm not here to, I didn't even know what was on this thing until I picked it up. But I would like to say that I think you'd be a damn fool not to pass that meals tax. And make sure that the average Joe and Sally out here understands what the meals tax is. I was having a conversation a couple years ago with a very influential person right here in Shenandoah County. And I said, you know, I said, we'd be a damn fool not to pass that meals tax. And he said, well, I said, I'm on the planning commission in Newmarket, and I said, I think we took in $450,000 last year. Oh, no, he said, you didn't take in that much money. I said, well, maybe I haven't got my wires crossed. So I went back and I asked the county treasurer. Well, she said, let me look, or the town treasurer. And he said, yeah, we took in 450-some thousand, and next year we predict taking in 480. But like I say, the key, make sure that the average Joe and Sally out here understands. If they go down to, they're in Newmarket, they go down to Southern Kitchen and order a $20 steak, well, they're going to have to pay a little more for it, the meals tax. Or they can go to the grocery store and get it a little cheaper and do it at home. It's not, they don't twist their hand to do it. And that meals tax is something that I think you've got Interstate 81 running through this county. Well, think of the people that stop at Tom's Brook, at the truck stops down there, how much money we get out of them. And they don't live in Shenandoah County. So we're saving the taxpayers a lot of money by doing that meals tax. I'm telling you, vote for that meals tax, but make sure that the average Joe and Sally out here understands what it is. Understand. And one point about the fire and rescue, the average Joe and Sally out here don't understand what fire and rescue is till they dial 911. So anyway, everybody tells me or thanks me for my military service. I said, well, thank a cop, thank a fire and rescue, thank a nurse, thank a doctor, thank a school teacher, because I went to school once. So,
you left out one.
What's that?
Supervisor.
Well, but make sure that everybody understands that only the people that can afford it is the ones that pay it. The average taxpayer out here, if they want to go to a restaurant and eat, well then stay at home. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Now's your time. Yes, sir. Again, for the record, name and address. We have these written, but we don't have you guys.
Y'all hear me?
No.
Nope. All right, move that forward. How about now?
Okay.
Still good? All right, we'll hold it. Now?
Yeah.
All right, Brian Gilkison, Thomas Brook. I didn't have anything prepared or anything, but it's going to be kind of a mixed bag for me tonight. On the one hand, we've definitely heard the need to focus on specific areas. Fire and rescue is definitely a big one here, especially the unfortunate stories we hear out of Fort Valley and Conqueville. Obviously, the wildfires are hitting the lower end of the county last year, well, both ends of the county last year. So we definitely got to focus on those areas. At the same time, like Mr. Patterson was saying, there's definitely areas that we need to look for the efficiency as well in this county. Areas that we can trim back on. Obviously, we look at the sheriff's department. Do they need 6 new vehicles? So that's so we need to look at where we actually do need to focus in, what is needed and what's not. Second, looking at the tax revenues. As one gentleman said, the property owners, we're getting hit. Year after year, we're getting hit. A couple years back, real estate went up. Then the reassessments hit us, and that in effect went up. Reassessment's going to happen next year. We're going to get hit again. And looking at, we've been dealing with inflation for the past several years, from the COVID and supply chain issues, and with the tariffs coming in now from the federal government, we're going to get hit with inflation even more. Right? Prices are up there. The people and property owners can't get hit anymore like that. Several years ago, I was against the meals tax revenue. I was wrong about that. I'm man enough to admit we need to revisit that and pass the countywide meals tax and that, and bringing that outside income. So. There's something else in my mind, but it's escaping now. Like I said, I didn't write this down, so that's on me. So with that, I don't envy y'all gentlemen. Every springtime y'all can get used from at budget time. It is what it is. But focus on what needs to be done. Find the waste that needs to be eliminated out, and don't hit the property owner so hard. I just remember the other thing I was going to say. We need outside industry. Obviously, Strasburg, especially the north end of the county, we saw LSC go down, the automotive parts factory go down. We need an outside industry coming into the industrial park up there. So focus on that to get that revenue source in, that job source in there as well. So, thank you for that.
Thank you, Brian. Anyone else? Any board members have anything you want to say? Dave? Okay. Kim? Josh, do you and Carl want to say anything? Okay, that's good. Okay.
They can hear it.
Okay. All right. Again, on behalf of the board, I want to thank you all for taking time out on Monday to come and give us your thoughts and concerns. Again, I want to thank my fellow board members. They've spent multiple hundreds of hours over the past several months working on this budget and the staff. It's a year-long process, but it really gets cranked up about Christmas. And so the board has really worked diligently. Our book is like this, and we kind of got it down to this right now, but we do take your concerns very seriously. This is not just a formality for us. We're here to hear the taxpayers' concerns, wants, and needs. So a lot of times we can't meet all the needs. Sometimes we have to raise taxes to provide services. A big portion of our total budget we use to provide services for Shenandoah County. And a lady called me the other night. She said, I want to cut the budget. My family now aren't happy. I said, is there any particular service that you want cut? She says, no. We whittled this thing down. We were 8 cents out of whack, $5 million out several weeks ago, and we're working it down. We're trying really hard to meet the needs of the people of Shenandoah County and keep a reasonable tax rate. Another thing I want to bring up on behalf of the board, we work tirelessly with our Economic Development Authority and Jennifer French and Economic Development, and we've got some good things going on. We've got good things that have already happened tax base wise, and I think you're going to see some additional revenues coming in here. When Frederick County or Rockingham County, when a new industry comes in there, it gets a big splash. No offense. It gets a big splash when we add on employment or bricks and mortar to existing industries. It shows that we've got a great rapport with our existing industries, and they're willing to invest money into staying in Shenandoah County at their location. There's a lot of that going on now, and you'll be hearing a lot more about this, but there are things going on. It's very competitive. We work with the state hand in glove in giving incentives, but the industries have got to step up and do their part before we ante up. It's not a wishful thinking on this board. We spend a lot of hours contemplating, where's the best way to expand industry, what do we want, what we don't want, and so there's a lot of stuff that is under the radar, and it has to be under the radar. You all don't get the whole picture initially because these industries, I've been in meetings before where an industrial prospect told me, I want you to lower the blinds so no one can look in the window. I mean, these people here keep it very close to the vest. It's consumer, it's industry A or industry B, or, it can be a wide range of things, but a lot of things have to come under the radar initially to get where they're going. So this board takes this very seriously. And I want to thank the board for their due diligence, not only during the budget process, but they work hard. David, he's our senior member, I'll give you the floor.
I can do mine in 3 minutes.
I doubt that.
I heard 3 things here tonight. And I think all 3 of them.
We can't hear you, sir.
I heard 3 things. Testing.
Got it?
Testing. I heard 3 things here tonight. And I think we can do all 3 of them. I heard fire and rescue, I heard Fort Valley. I think we can take care of that. I heard school system. I think we can take care of that. And I heard watch your budget. Get rid of unneeded expenses. Keep my taxes low. I think we can do that. That's the 3 things I'm going to take away from here tonight. And as we have the rest of our budget deliberations, those are the 3 things that I know that the members of this board want to address and will address, and I think we'll do the best we can to address your concerns that you lay down here tonight as best we can. Thank you.
Okay, it's 8:02, and I will adjourn this meeting again on behalf of the board. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, gentlemen.